Hey there, and welcome to Tales by June, where hearts break, heal, and sometimes seek revenge. Let's begin today's story.
Hey, before we begin, let me know where you're watching from. I love seeing how far these stories travel. And if you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.
I remember the ballroom lights first. Soft gold reflections danced across the marble floor, and for a moment, everything looked perfect, almost unreal. It was the kind of scene I used to dream about when I was a little girl. My engagement night. My future. My beginning. I had no idea it was about to become my ending instead. My name is Emily Hart, and I grew up believing I knew exactly how my life would unfold. My family and the Carters were close, so close that people used to joke we were practically one big clan. Old friends, business partners, neighbors. Holiday traditions intertwined like vines on the same fence. It wasn't unusual to hear someone say, "One day, Emily and Nathan will end up together." Maybe it started as a joke, but over the years, it became a real idea. And somewhere in the quiet corners of my heart, it became a hope. Nathan Carter was the boy I admired, the boy I trusted, the boy I thought would eventually become my husband. It wasn't a forced promise. It was more like a soft expectation that grew with us over time. And I never questioned it. Not once. The morning of the engagement party felt strangely calm. I woke up in a hotel suite filled with makeup brushes, fabric swatches, and my sister's clothes scattered everywhere. My sister, Ava, stood near the window doing her hair, sunlight outlining her like she belonged on the cover of a magazine. She looked over her shoulder and smiled. "Big night, Em." I nodded, trying to settle the anxious flutter in my chest. "I still feel like I'm dreaming." "Good dream or bad?" she teased lightly. I laughed. "I guess I'll know tonight." If only I knew how true that sentence would become. The engagement was set in one of the nicest hotel ballrooms in the city. Cream drapes, crystal chandeliers, tables wrapped in white linens and gold ribbons. My mother had spent months planning it, making sure everything matched the picture she kept in her head. People began arriving early: family, friends, business partners, old neighbors, even a few college classmates. Everyone hugged me. Everyone congratulated me. Everyone said the same thing. "You and Nathan were always meant to be." I kept smiling, but there was something strange in the air, an uneasiness I couldn't name. And then he finally walked in. Nathan arrived late, which wasn't like him. He was always responsible, always punctual. But what bothered me wasn't the timing. It was his expression, or the lack of one.
No smile. No warmth.
He didn't even look excited. It was as if something inside him had already shut down. When he reached me, I touched his arm gently. "Hey, you okay?" He didn't respond right away. He just stared at my dress, my face, the decorations, everything except my eyes. Then he exhaled, like he'd been holding this in for too long. "I can't do this." I blinked, confused. "Do what?" "This," he said. "The engagement. The marriage. Any of it." My heart stumbled. Conversations around us quieted. People turned. The ballroom seemed to freeze. I didn't notice the room going quiet at first. All I saw was Nathan standing in front of me, his expression sharper than I'd ever seen. It was the kind of look people give when they've already made a cruel decision and are simply waiting for the perfect moment to drop it. He exhaled slowly, like I was an obligation he'd finally gathered the courage to reject. "I can't do this," he said again, louder this time. "Nathan," I whispered. "What are you saying?" He finally looked at me, and the coldness in his eyes made my stomach drop. "You're not good enough for me." The words were a punch. Sharp.
Public. Humiliating.
A few people gasped. My mother reached for my shoulder. My father tried to step between us. But Nathan wasn't finished. He shook his head, almost annoyed. Emily, look around. This, he gestured at the ballroom, the flowers, the guests, is a mistake. I've been trying to tell you that for months. My heart dropped. No, you haven't. Yes, I have, he snapped. You just never listen. You're always in your own world. You don't match me. I blinked. Match you? He took a step back, as if distance could emphasize the difference between us. His voice grew louder, sharper, more confident with every word. You're not ambitious. You're not driven. You don't fit into my future, Emily. People were turning now. Conversations died mid-sentence. Chairs shifted. Cameras lowered. The ballroom was slowly collapsing around me, but he wasn't done. You're soft, he continued harshly. Too soft. You don't push yourself. You settle for average goals, average dreams, then average life. My lips parted, but nothing came out. My body felt heavy and hollow at the same time. And honestly, he said, scoffing, I don't want to spend my life carrying someone who doesn't even know what they want.
You don't challenge me.
You don't inspire me. Being with you feels like stagnation. A few people muttered in disbelief. Even Ava looked stunned. But Nathan was warming up, like he'd rehearsed this. He looked me up and down slowly. And let's not pretend you're the kind of woman who turns heads. You don't stand out, Emily. Not in a room, not in life, not anywhere. I felt something inside me crack, but he kept going. You're comfortable being ordinary. And I'm not. He shrugged with a cold, effortless arrogance. I want someone better. He paused, letting the words sink in. Better. As if I were a defective choice on a shelf. My mom whispered my name, reaching for me. I felt her hand tremble. Nathan didn't even glance at her. He lifted his chin, speaking loud enough for everyone to hear. I'm calling off the engagement, he said. I'm not marrying Emily. I felt the ground slip under me. The room blurred. My chest tightened painfully. But before I could say anything, before I could even breathe, he delivered the final blow.
I'm choosing Ava.
The gasp that spread through the ballroom was like a wave. Ava froze. Her lips trembled. Nathan, I didn't. He cut her off. Ava gets it. She has direction. She has presence. She knows how to show up. She doesn't hide behind her family or behind expectations. He nodded firmly, almost proudly. She's someone I can actually build a future with. I shook my head, barely breathing. You're choosing her over me? My own sister? Don't make it dramatic, he said harshly. It's not about you. It's about compatibility. She fits me. You don't. I felt like I'd been stripped bare under the hotel chandeliers. Exposed.
Judged.
Discarded. You're cruel, I whispered. No, he replied calmly.
I'm honest.
It's better you hear it now than after we're married. Then why didn't you tell me privately? I whispered, my voice breaking. Why humiliate me like this? He looked around the ballroom, almost amused. Because your parents needed to hear it too. Everyone needed to stop pretending you're someone you're not. You're not the right choice. And I'm not going to ruin my life trying to force something that was never going to work. My father stepped forward, furious. Nathan, that's enough. But Nathan ignored him. He looked directly at me, his voice low but painfully clear. I don't want a life with someone who stays small just because it's comfortable. And that's who you are, Emily.
Small.
Safe. Predictable. I'm done pretending that's what I want. The whispers around us grew louder.
Pity. Shock.
Judgment. All swirling around me like smoke. I felt the tears burning, but I refused to let them fall. Not in front of him. Not in front of the crowd he'd turned into spectators. So I steadied myself, straightened my shoulders, and I walked out of the ballroom. Not because I was strong, but because I refused to let him watch me break. Behind me, people called my name. Chairs scraped. Someone rushed after me. But the only voice I heard was Nathan's.
Small.
Average. Not good enough. The version of me who walked into that ballroom died before she reached the door. But the woman who would rise from the ashes of that moment, she would be everything he claimed she couldn't be. And one day, he would regret every word he said. People like to say heartbreak starts in one moment. But the truth is, mine began long before that night in the hotel ballroom. It began in childhood, quietly, innocently, before any of us knew what we were growing into. I was 8 when the Carters became more than family friends. Our families owned a small tech startup together back then, long before it grew into the multi-million-dollar company it would later become. My parents trusted the Carters. They built dreams side by side, spent weekends brainstorming at our dining table, celebrated successes with backyard barbecues. And somewhere during those years, Nathan and I became the future. The kids everyone teased. The pair everyone rooted for. I never questioned it. Not because I was naive, but because it felt natural. Nathan was the confident child. The boy who always led the games, climbed the highest trees, talked the loudest. I was quieter, thoughtful. The girl who wrote stories in the shade while the others ran around. He used to sit beside me sometimes, pretending to read my notebook. "You're going to be a writer," he'd say. "You're going to be a CEO." I'd tease back. We were kids. We didn't know how time could twist people into strangers. My family wasn't perfect, but it was warm. My father was steady, practical, firm, the kind of man who believed in discipline but loved with softness. My mother was the heart of the house, organized, emotional, always trying to keep peace before conflict ever arrived. And then there was Ava, my younger sister, beautiful Ava, charming Ava, the girl who walked into every room like she belonged there. People naturally gravitated to her, teachers, relatives, even strangers. She had a spark I admired and envied in equal measure. We weren't close, not really. We cared for each other, but she lived in sunlight while I lived in quieter spaces. Where I stayed home writing, she was out making friends. Where I worried about disappointing people, she simply didn't. My parents worked hard to treat us equally, but even they couldn't hide the way people compared us. Emily is so sweet. Ava is so pretty. Emily is responsible. Ava is unforgettable. I learned early to step back and let her shine. I never thought she'd take the one thing I thought was mine. Nathan and I grew up together, going to the same schools, attending the same events. He was popular, athletic, smart, the guy everyone looked at when he walked into a room. I wasn't unpopular, but I blended in. I preferred books to parties, small groups to crowds. But Nathan always treated me kindly. In middle school, he'd save a seat for me at lunch. In high school, he'd walk me home after group study sessions. During senior prom, when the boy who asked me bailed at the last minute, Nathan danced with me so I wouldn't feel left out. He whispered, "See? I told you no one bails on Emily Hart." It was easy to believe he meant it. Nathan and I grew up together, going to the same schools, attending the same events. He was popular, athletic, smart, the guy everyone looked at when he walked into a room. I wasn't unpopular, but I blended in. I preferred books to parties, small groups to crowds. But Nathan always treated me kindly. In middle school, he'd save a seat for me at lunch. In high school, he'd walk me home after group study sessions. During senior prom, when the boy who asked me bailed at the last minute, Nathan danced with me so I wouldn't feel left out. He whispered, "See? I told you no one bails on Emily Hart." It was easy to believe he meant it. "Emily, you should try being more outgoing. You don't push yourself enough. You settle too easily. You'd be more impressive if you aimed higher." I thought he was just stressed or trying to motivate me. I didn't see the early signs of the person he'd become. Ava, on the other hand, shined brighter than ever. She studied marketing, joined organizations, made friends everywhere. Whenever she visited campus, people would gravitate toward her, including Nathan. At first, it didn't bother me. Why would it? He'd known her since we were kids. He was practically part of our family. But something changed during our third year of college. He began complimenting her more openly, saying things like, "Ava has so much energy. She's fearless. She has that it factor you can't teach." He'd say these things casually, but each one planted a seed of doubt inside me. Still, I trusted him, trusted us, trusted the years we'd grown side by side. Meanwhile, our parents were talking about next steps, engagement, graduation celebrations, merging responsibilities in the company someday. It all felt natural. It all felt inevitable. I didn't know Nathan had already decided he wanted a different future, one where I didn't fit the image he created in his mind. One where my place beside him would be taken by someone shinier, louder, more impressive. Someone like Ava. Looking back, the signs were everywhere. But when you care about someone, you rewrite every red flag into something harmless. I thought we were building a future. He thought he was outgrowing me. I believed we were equals. He believed I was holding him back. I imagined walking beside him into adulthood. He imagined walking ahead without me. By the time the engagement was planned, maybe the decision was already made in his head. He just waited until the night everyone was watching to reveal it. Because humiliation, to him, wasn't a side effect. It was the point. Silence followed me out of the ballroom. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that rings in your skull, sharp and endless, after your world has been shattered loud enough for everyone to hear. I remember stepping into the hallway, numb, the echo of gasps behind me still sticking to my skin. I don't remember running, but I remember my mother's voice calling after me, and my father catching up, breathless, wrapping his coat around my shoulders though I didn't feel cold. They took me to the hotel's private lounge, dim lights, soft carpet, a space meant for quiet conversations. But nothing felt quiet. My heart was a frantic thing, refusing to slow, refusing to make sense of anything. My mother knelt beside me, hands trembling as she cupped my face. "Sweetheart, look at me. We're here. We're not leaving you." My father hovered behind her, furious and helpless in equal measure, a kind of anger I had never seen in him. I should march back in there and, he choked on the words, fists clenched. "That boy humiliated you in front of everyone. I won't let him get away with it." But I couldn't speak. I couldn't even cry yet. Shock held me tighter than grief. It wasn't just that Nathan ended our engagement in front of the entire room. It was how he'd done it. Cold, calculated, almost rehearsed, as if he wanted every pair of eyes to witness my heartbreak. My mother brushed my hair back, whispering, "You did nothing wrong. Nothing. He's the one who should feel ashamed. Should." But he didn't. Even in that moment, some part of me knew he didn't feel shame at all. The door opened, and Ava stepped inside. Her heels clicked against the floor, too loud in the quiet room. Her makeup was perfect, her expression composed, almost annoyingly calm given the disaster she'd just watched unfold. She stood there for a moment, clasping her hands, swallowing hard.
I want to talk to you," she said.
My mother straightened immediately, tension snapping through her shoulders. "Ava, this is not the time," she said sharply. But Ava shook her head.
"No."
"It has to be now." Something in her voice made my father step forward protectively, as if preparing for another blow. Ava looked at me, really looked at me, and her face wavered. For a second, I thought she might apologize. I thought she might tell me she had no idea what Nathan was planning, that she was as blindsided as I was. But she didn't. I'm leaving with him, she said. The floor dropped out from under me. My mother gasped. My father cursed under his breath. I didn't move. Ava continued, voice trembling but stubborn. Nathan and we've been talking for a while. I didn't know it would happen like this, I swear, but I've made my decision. He asked me to leave with him tonight, and I'm going. My mother stepped forward, devastated. Ava, do you hear yourself? Your sister just had her entire life ripped apart, and you want to run off with the man who did it. My father's voice was deadly calm. Over my dead body. Ava shook her head again, tears rising now. I'm not asking for permission. I'm telling you, I'm going with him, and I need you to accept it. The room spun, reality bending until nothing felt real anymore. My mother turned to me, desperate. Emily, say something. Tell her she's making a mistake. My father echoed her. Tell her she's not thinking clearly. They were asking me to fight, to argue,
To beg.
but I didn't have the strength for any of it. And something inside me, something raw and broken, understood that no matter what I said, Ava had already chosen her path. So I inhaled, steadying myself, and spoke for the first time since the engagement shattered. Let her go. My parents froze. Ava's eyes widened. I swallowed the ache in my chest, each word carving through me like glass. If this is what she wants, then let her go. My father started to protest, but I shook my head.
No.
We can't hold on to people who are already gone. Ava's tears fell then. Too late. Too meaningless. She whispered, I never meant to hurt you. I didn't answer. Some wounds don't have space for forgiveness. Not yet. She left the room quietly, her footsteps fading down the hall and out of my life. After that night, something changed inside me. Something essential. I realized staying in the same town, the same house, surrounded by the same memories and whispers, would destroy me. So I told my parents I wanted to leave. Not for a week. Not for a break. For good. They didn't argue. They didn't try to convince me to stay. They simply held my hands and said, We'll help you. And they did. They helped me pack. Helped me settle my affairs. Helped me choose a city far enough away that my past couldn't find me unless I invited it. We found a small apartment, humble but warm. They made sure I had savings, furniture, new clothes, everything I needed to start over. The night before I left, my father hugged me like he was trying to hold the broken pieces together. You don't deserve any of this, he said. But you deserve a future, and we'll help you build it. My mother kissed my forehead. You're stronger than you think, she whispered, and you're going to be happy again. I wasn't sure I believed her, but for the first time since my world collapsed, I wanted to try. So I left, heartbroken, empty, but free. And freedom, however painful, was the first step toward becoming someone new. The city felt too big for me at first. Tall buildings, endless noise, people who didn't know my name, didn't know my story, didn't stare at me with pity. Maybe that was why I chose it, why I needed it. My new apartment was small, just one bedroom, a narrow kitchen, and a window that overlooked a busy street full of honking cars and rushing strangers. But it was mine. And for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe without someone watching me for signs of collapse. Still, the silence inside those four walls was heavy. My first nights were the hardest. I would lie awake until dawn, replaying the engagement party, the look in Nathan's eyes, the moment Ava said she was leaving with him. Sometimes I cried. Sometimes I stared at the ceiling until my eyes burned. Sometimes I wondered if I made the right decision by leaving home. But every morning, I forced myself out of bed. Coffee.
Shower.
walk around the block until my thoughts settled. That was how I met him. His name was Liam. I didn't know that at first. To me, he was just the guy from the cafe, the one who always sat at the corner table near the window, tapping on his laptop and talking too loudly for someone working alone. The first day I walked in, quiet and exhausted, he glanced up, smirked, and said, "You look like someone who's thinking about running away from life. Coffee usually helps. Unless life is what you're running from, then maybe a muffin too." I blinked at him, confused and already annoyed. I didn't answer. I didn't smile. I just ordered my drink and sat as far away from him as possible. But the next day, he was there again. And the next. And the next. Every time I walked in, he said something. "Rough morning. Hard night. You look like someone who needs a hug, but would punch anyone who tries." I ignored him. Always. He didn't seem bothered. One rainy morning, I slipped on the wet floor near the cafe entrance, and before I could hit the ground, someone caught my elbow. Him. "You okay?" he asked, laughing lightly. "You almost did a dramatic movie fall." Very impressive commitment. I pulled my arm away, embarrassed. "I fine." "Are you sure?" Usually people thank the handsome stranger who saves them from public humiliation. I stared at him. He grinned. I walked away, but he followed me to the counter, leaning beside me with a casual confidence I found irritating. "I'm Liam, by the way." I didn't ask. "You also didn't say you didn't want to know."
Fine.
"I don't want to know." He laughed, really laughed, and it startled me how warm the sound was. For the first time since I left home, something inside me flickered. Not happiness, not comfort, more like irritation with a hint of distraction. He ordered his drink, stepped back, and then looked at me again. "I'm going to guess something," he said. "You're new here." I stiffened. "Why would you think that?" "Because people who belong in this city walk like they're late for something. You walk like you don't know where you're going yet." I froze. He wasn't wrong. He tilted his head, studying me with unsettling accuracy. "It's not a bad thing. Most great stories start when people feel lost." I hated that his words hit too close to home. Days passed, then weeks. I never planned to talk to him. I never planned to smile at him. But somehow, he slipped into my routine without my permission. Some mornings, he'd slide a muffin across my table without asking. "For the sadness," he'd say. I'd push it back. He'd push it forward again. Eventually, I stopped resisting. Other times, he'd pull out the chair across from me, sit down, and talk about his job, his crazy neighbors, his love for drawing, his habit of oversharing. He never asked about my past. Not once. Maybe that's why I slowly stopped avoiding him. He didn't treat me like I was broken. He didn't stare at me with pity. He didn't tiptoe around my silence. He simply existed beside me, filling the quiet without forcing me to speak. And little by little, that silence stopped feeling heavy. One evening, as the cafe closed, I sat outside on the curb, watching cars pass. Liam walked out, saw me, and sat down beside me without hesitation. "You look like you're thinking too much," he said. "I usually am." He nudged my shoulder. "Want help turning your brain off for a while?"
How?
"Tell me what scares you." I looked away. Nothing. Liar. I exhaled, frustrated. "Everything. I guess everything scares me right now." He didn't tease me. Not this time. He just nodded, thoughtful. "Fear is okay. Staying stuck in it isn't." I looked at him, then really looked at him. "Why do you care?" I asked. He shrugged with a little smile. "Because you remind me of someone I used to be." I didn't understand what he meant.
But I didn't ask.
For the first time in months, I felt something shift inside me. A tiny spark of strength. A pull toward something better. Something new. Maybe healing wasn't loud or dramatic. Maybe it started with simple moments.
Coffee. Then,
A sarcastic stranger who refused to leave you alone. Maybe healing was this. And maybe, just maybe, I wasn't as alone as I thought. I wasn't looking for pain that morning, but pain has a way of finding you sooner or later. I was waiting in line at a tiny grocery store near my apartment when a magazine on the counter caught my eye. The cover was bright, elegant, decorated with soft gold letters. And right in the center, smiling like nothing in the world had ever gone wrong, stood Ava and Nathan, my sister, and the man who humiliated me in front of everyone I knew. The headline felt like a slap. A fairy tale union. The Blackwood gray wedding of the year. My hands went cold. My throat tightened until swallowing hurt. I didn't want to look, but I couldn't look away. Pages overflowed with their pictures, laughing, kissing, posing under chandeliers. Ava looked radiant. Nathan looked proud. They looked perfect. And all I felt was the ache of being erased. The first tear fell before I could stop it. My phone buzzed.
Mom.
I wiped my eyes, inhaled shakily, and answered. Emily. Her voice trembled. Sweetheart, we saw the news. My breath hitched. Were you invited? Yes, she whispered. They came last week. Together. A fresh sting spread across my chest. They came to the house.
Yes.
They brought an invitation. They acted like everything was normal. Like nothing happened. Like they hadn't shattered your life. I pressed my back against the aisle shelf, fighting the urge to crumble. Dad's voice came into the call next, rough, emotional, barely controlled. They didn't ask about you, Emily. Not once. Not even a single question about how you were doing, where you were, whether you were safe. He inhaled shakily. They sat in our living room and talked about centerpieces and venues. Your sister acted like you never existed. Like she hadn't ripped the family apart. Mom continued, voice breaking. And when we asked Ava why she never reached out to you, she just said she didn't want to bring up drama. Drama, Emily. That's what she called what she did to you. A tear slid down my face, then another. Dad's voice hardened. We refused the invitation. We told them we will not stand in a room celebrating a wedding built on your pain. And we told them leaving you behind without concern was unforgivable. I covered my mouth, letting their words wash over me. They had chosen me. They had defended me, even when my own sister didn't. Thank you, I whispered, barely audible. Mom choked out. You are our daughter, our priority, always. I ended the call before I completely broke down. I stepped outside, and that's when Liam saw me. He was rounding the corner with a cup of coffee in one hand, humming some song under his breath. But the second he saw my face, he froze. His expression shifted instantly. Humor gone. Concern sharp and real. Emily? Hey, what happened? I shook my head, wiping my tears, embarrassed to be crying in public again. He stepped closer, slow and gentle. Don't do that, he said softly. Don't hide it. And just like that, the story spilled out. Not perfectly, not calmly, but painfully honest. I told him about Ava and Nathan, the magazine, my parents, their visit, the wedding, the months of silence. He listened without interrupting, his eyes locked on mine, brows furrowed with a kind of anger that wasn't for me, but for what I had endured. When I finally stopped, breath shaking, he didn't say, "It's okay," or "You'll get over it." He simply reached into his pocket, pulled out a sleek black card, and placed it in my hand. "What's this?" I asked. "A door," he said. "Walk through it." I frowned. "Liam, I don't understand." "Go tomorrow morning," he said. "Apply for a job. They'll take you."
Why?
"Who do you know in?" He just smirked. You'll see. And then he walked off, leaving me confused and slightly annoyed. The next morning, I followed the address on the card. It led to a towering glass skyscraper that looked far too important for someone like me. Inside, the receptionist greeted me warmly. Executive assistant position? Yes, I managed. Top floor. CEO's office. Why was I meeting the CEO? My confusion turned into complete shock when the elevator opened and I walked into a pristine corner office and found Liam standing there in a tailored suit, cold expression, sharp posture. He didn't smile, didn't joke,
Didn't even greet me. Seek.
My mouth dropped. You're the CEO? Yes. But you said you were a freelancer. You believed that, he replied flatly. Disappointing. I blinked rapidly. Why didn't you tell me? This is an interview, he snapped. Not brunch. Sit down. I sat only because my legs were shaking. He skimmed my resume like he'd never seen it. Your experience is weak. My eyes narrowed. Excuse me? And your confidence is worse. You. Don't speak unless you're spoken to. This is a workplace. My jaw dropped. Who are you right now? Your boss, he said calmly. Unless you want to walk out. I clenched my fists.
No.
I need the job. Good. Then start. Hours later, after surviving the most chaotic first day of my life, I grabbed my bag and marched toward the exit, still furious. Liam stepped out of his office behind me, now in casual clothes, hands in his pockets, grin wide. Well, he asked, how was your first day with the world's greatest CEO? I glared. You're a psychopath. He laughed, delighted. I know. That act you put on. Necessary, he said. No one in this building gets special treatment, including you. I crossed my arms. And what about after work?
He winked.
After work? I'm charming again. I groaned. I hate you. No, you don't. I did not answer. He stepped closer, voice softening. Emily, listen to me. You're not broken. You're just bruised. And bruises heal. I'm going to help you. You're going to grow. You're going to rise. And one day, you'll look back and see that this was the day everything changed. My eyes stung. Why do you care so much? I whispered. He smiled gently. Because you deserve a life they never imagined you could have. And for the first time in a long time, I believed someone. My second week at Hayes Corp felt like stepping into a world I didn't belong in. The hallways were spotless. The employees walked fast, focused, confident. The offices smelled of money and ambition. And then there was me, still learning how to breathe again, still trying not to crumble whenever a memory of Nathan flashed through my mind. But I showed up. Every day. Maybe that was the beginning of my healing. During the first few days, Liam acted exactly the way he had warned me he would. Professional.
Cold. Sharp.
Demanding. He barely looked at me when he gave instructions. Email it. Fix that. Rewrite. No, better.
He pushed.
Harder than anyone ever had. Some moments I hated him for it. But other moments, I felt grateful. He was forcing me to focus on something other than my pain. And whenever the day ended, the mask slipped. After 6 p.m., he became the Liam I knew from the cafe, funny, playful, ridiculous. One evening, after a particularly stressful day, I slammed my notebook on my desk and muttered, I'm quitting. He peeked from his office door like a mischievous raccoon. Already? That's a new record. Do I get a prize? I glared. He grinned wider. You know, he said, walking toward me, most people cry on their first week. You only mutter threats. That's impressive. I'm close to crying.
Oh.
Let me know when you do. I brought tissues. I threw a pen at him, He dodged easily. "Emily," he said softly once the joking faded. "You're doing great. Don't stop now." Something in his tone, earnest, warm, made my chest tighten. He believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. But healing wasn't linear, and it wasn't gentle. One afternoon, I was sorting files in the meeting room when I overheard two employees chatting outside the door. "Did you see the wedding article? The Gray family married the Blackwoods. Huge deal." "Oh yeah, that bride is stunning. I think her sister disappeared after some scandal." Disappeared, like I was some cautionary tale. My throat went dry. My vision blurred. I sat down quickly, gripping the edge of the table. The room spun for a moment. My breath came out shaky and uneven. I thought I had escaped my past, but even miles away it found me. I wiped my eyes, forcing myself to stay composed. When I stepped out of the room, Liam was right there, leaning against the wall with crossed arms, studying me quietly. He had heard everything. I could tell by his expression. "Emily," he said softly, "come with me." I followed him into his office, and as soon as the door closed, he turned to me. "What happened?" His voice wasn't stern this time. It wasn't playful either. It was gentle, and for some reason that made it harder to hold myself together. "They were talking about the wedding," I whispered. "About her."
About me.
His jaw tightened. I sat down in the chair, hands trembling. "I'm trying to move on." "I am. But every time I think I'm okay, something reminds me that I wasn't good enough for him. Or for her. Or for anyone." Liam stared at me for a long moment, long enough that I started to worry he didn't know what to say. But then he knelt in front of me. Actually knelt. "Emily," he said quietly, "look at me." I did. "You weren't not enough.
You were too much for the wrong people.
There's a difference." A tear fell, and I wiped it away angrily. He continued, voice steady and firm. "They didn't break you. They just revealed themselves. And you're here, working, learning, building something new. That's strength. That's resilience." His words hit a part of me I had tried to hide. "You're going to grow," he said. "You're going to rise. And when you look back, they won't matter." I inhaled sharply, feeling my chest loosen a little. Then he stood up, walked to his desk, and grabbed something. A thick binder. Black leather.
Heavy.
He placed it in my hands. "What's this?" I asked. "My training manual," he said with a smirk. "The one I wrote for my interns." I blinked. "You wrote a manual?" "Of course. How else will I build my empire?" "Now open it." When I did, I found pages of detailed lessons, finance basics, communication skills, planning methods, leadership techniques, everything. "This," he said, tapping the binder, "is your next step.
Study it.
Ask questions. I'll teach you." I stared at him, stunned. "Why are you helping me this much?" He shrugged lightly. "Because someone once helped me when I felt like nothing. And because you remind me of myself back then." I swallowed, overwhelmed. "And because," he added softer, "you deserve more than the life they threw you out of." My eyes filled again. This time I didn't hide it. "Thank you," I whispered. He smiled, gentle, genuine. "Don't thank me yet. You've got work to do. And I plan on making you one of the strongest people in this city." For the first time since everything fell apart, I believed I might actually get there. Not because I was healed, not because I was whole, but because someone was finally guiding me, not to escape my past, but to build my future.